Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time today. We are excited to announce an education plan that's been agreed upon by the Senate and the House and the Governor. In terms of the House, the priorities that we set out to address this year in an education plan would be a plan that would help and benefit every parent, every student, every teacher, and every school in the state. There's been a lot of energy and time put into an education package this year that goes without saying. And we are all very happy to be here today to announce this package. I want to thank Chairman Rhonda Baker, Chairman Mark McBride in the House for their great work in this endeavor. I want to thank my counterparts in the Senate as well, my friend President Pro Tem Greg Treat, for all their work. This is a historic education package for our state that is going to raise the overall investment in the state's education over the last 5 years that will exceed the previous 25 years in our state's education investment. And we're excited for what it does for every student, every teacher in school, and parent in the state, regardless of what their personal choice is in terms of educating that child. I appreciate all the work that has gone into it, all the passionate and spirited debate. There's been a lot of great ideas this session, and this truly is a compromise approach, but it meets all four of the priorities for the House, so we are very excited about that. And I think it's going to be a very great package for the state of Oklahoma. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce my friend and colleague, President Pro Tem Greg Treat of the Senate, to make some remarks. President Pro Tem. You bet.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you all for being here. I would have probably got my suit pressed had I known we were going to be up here today. It's a little wrinkly today. But this is a big day. This is a big day. Senator Pugh and Senator Pemberton from our side really deserve a lot of the credit, along with Senator McCourtney, but especially Senator Pugh and Senator Pemberton. I appreciate all the work that you put in from during the interim to now. And Representative Baker and Representative McBride, we appreciate the work that you all have done as well. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank a true godsend to this process, Justice Stephen Taylor, who has been amazing at mediating over the last week. A week ago today, we started this process with some comments from Justice Taylor at the governor's mansion. Be honest with you, Justice Taylor, when you started talking, I didn't think we'd be here a week from your comments declaring that we've got a deal. So thank you for volunteering your time as a true statesman to help land this largest investment in public education. Simply put, today, kids win, parents win, and teachers win. This is a big day for education, regardless of the means, here in Oklahoma today. I'm honored to be standing here with the governor, the speaker, and I'm truly, truly honored to be the leader of a body that has people like Senator Pemberton and Senator Pugh who stayed the course and cast a vision for education in Oklahoma. Thank you so much for having me here today, and I'm going to turn it over to Governor Stitt.
Thanks so much, Pro Tem, and man, thanks for being here today, and appreciate the media covering this on such short notice. This really is an historic day, and we've been in here every single Friday as our press conference, and you asked me a lot of questions about education, and I said, man, we're going to get this across the finish line. The big picture here is the legislature behind me, the House, the Senate, we all want to have the best top 10 education system in the entire country. And that's what you're seeing today. You're seeing historic investments in education, over $600 million in additional funding into education, which is just amazing. We've put more money in education over the last 5 years than any other governor in history. And so really, really excited to lock arms with my friends up here. This is a win for every single student, every parent. It's just really, really exciting for us. So proud to get this across the finish line for Oklahomans. You know, we've got a teacher pay raise in here between $3,000 to $6,000. So depending on their length of service. So every single teacher in the state of Oklahoma is going to get a much-deserved pay raise. I say it all the time that the magic happens when we get our best teachers in the classroom teaching our young people. And so I want all the teachers to know across the state that we've got your back, that we so appreciate your investment in that next generation. So we appreciate you, and this is the legislature behind me want to do that. Paid 6 weeks maternity leave, that's part of the package that was really important to the House and the Senate, that we got that across the finish line. Also, reading literacy was really important with COVID and some of the struggles that some of our students have had. We really want to make sure that every single Oklahoman is reading at grade level. So that's important. And then also, we have a great investment in school security. And so that's something that I did an executive order several months ago, that we're training all of our law enforcement across the state. But we also wanted to put dollars behind that to make sure that every single school had the resources that they needed. So excited to get that across the finish line as well. And so just also want to echo Senator Pugh and Pemberton, and then also McBride and Baker for all their efforts, and Justice Taylor, thank you so much for being part of this process with us and bringing us all together. And for the Speaker and the Pro Tem's leadership, just been amazing to work with them all year. So want to turn it over. I'd love for Representative Baker to kind of give a few words, and then I'll come back up and we can open up for questions. So Representative Baker.
Thank you all for being here. You know, one thing I just wanted to point out, and I think it's important, members of the media, you all have watched us since we started session, and there's been a lot of back and forth, and you'll come to my office and find out what are we doing versus what's the Senate doing. And what I really want to point out is that even though we did have different ideas in the beginning, we did collaborate and come together as colleagues and as friends with one goal in mind, and that goal was to help children. And being a former teacher, I couldn't have asked for anything better. So I do want to say a big thank you to my colleagues from the Senate, Senators Pugh and Pemberton, and of course, I guess my partner in crime, Representative McBride. You know, this is something that we knew that we wanted from the beginning. We are here. We got it done. We're very thankful. And every single person that's up here standing has some sort of interest in making sure that we are leaving our state better for the children than when we got here. And so I think we're making a step in that direction. I am so proud of what we've done. And just remember that good things can get done when you get the Senate and the House and the governor together. So with that, I will turn it back to Pugh, Senator Pugh.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm tired. I'm not going to lie. I'm exhausted. This process can be a little frustrating at times, but when I walk in the door of this building, it sounds corny, but I say to myself every day, tension is a feature of our system and not a flaw. But we try to treat it like a flaw, because it doesn't mean we get everything we want, and it can be contentious and clunky, and sometimes we can grate and grind on each other. But the three most important numbers in this building are 25, 51, and 1. And none of us can ever forget that it takes a lot of work to get our colleagues on board. And so what you see here today, and even those who aren't represented here today, but inclusive of our staff, are a lot of men and women that put a lot of hard work over the last 4 months to do something extraordinary. And it all started, honestly, just by listening. and asking people who were in the classroom, asking parents, what do you need? What's important to you? What do you want, and how can we help you be successful, and how can we make sure that your child is going to be everything that God's called them to be? And this is the result of that process. And here's something I think I learned over the weekend that's really amazing for the men and women who have served in the past few legislatures. From the years 1993 to the years 2018, the state of Oklahoma invested an additional $1.35 billion in public education. From the years 2019 to the years 2024, inclusive of the budget that we'll be signing in the next week or so, Oklahoma will have invested an additional $1.37 billion in public education. And that's something that everybody up here, regardless of their district or their geography or urban, rural, suburban, Republican or Democrat, should be very proud of that we've accomplished. So thank you all to the men and women up here, my colleagues in the House, my colleagues in the Senate, Dwayne Pemberton, Leader McCourtney, and under the leadership of Pro Tem Treat. We're just very proud and honored. We hear you, teachers. We need you to stay in the classroom. Moms and dads, we want you to find the right education experience so that your children can thrive. And we hope that this great investment in education will allow that to happen. Thank you.
Well, we want to now open it up to a few questions from the press for the pro tem or the speaker, myself, or education chairs. Yeah, so the tax credit piece, it'll be tied to public education funding. So we're never, and that's important for everybody to understand, is that the public education piece is separate from the tax credit piece. So it was very important for us that we're investing in public education all across the state of Oklahoma, which includes charter schools as well. I'm so proud of our charter school community. Santa Fe South has 4,000 kids in their charter school with 1,000 on the waiting list. The tax credit piece is for kids that maybe aren't thriving in whatever zip code school that they're in. And every single parent is now going to have the ability to get a tax credit, depending on income. So up $7,500 if you make under $75,000 a year, all the way to $5,000 tax credit on an unlimited income basis, and that money can be used to go to a school of your choice. So that's what the tax credit piece is, and then there's a cap on that graduates $150 million, $200 million, and $250 million where it is capped. And then a future legislature can look at that if we start butting up against that cap. Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, I can let the speaker, but the idea is those are tied together, and the speaker will, well, I'll let the speaker tell you. I hope that's the plan.
Yes, we will be forwarding the tax credit bill to the governor upon passage of this public ed funding. It's 500 in the funding formula, 500 million in the funding formula, 125 million in Redbud, and that's it. So it's 625 million. Then there's the 50 million that is a 3-year pilot program that will go to school safety, and that's really exciting. That we will be a leader nationally. I think we'll get tons and tons of coverage on this nationally. We've already been a leader in what we've done with the app that we've done to protect teachers. Our law enforcement training with Tim Tipton and what he's doing, the commissioner, and now we're going to put resources, and that's thanks to the House and the Senate, that every district will have additional resources to hire resource officers or school safety officers, et cetera, across the state, and that's 50 million. 625 one time, or 625 recurring. Is 785 what if we add everything up, reoccurring? Yeah. One time, yeah. 150 plus 10 million for reading.
So there's 150 plus 10, so 160 million is the one-time money, and that's over a 3-year period. And the
The pro tem and I are having a moment. No, we'll decide as a caucus procedurally how we advance that that bill to the governor, but we have some options there, and we've not discussed the emergency. We did capture the emergency vote as well. That is at our disposal, but at this time we are committing to moving that to the governor, and we'll see what manner the caucus wishes to follow.
Certainly. So the current, Redbud currently, how it works is that it takes the average. So in the state constitution, every school district is entitled to 9 mills, every school district. One is the school building fund, which are 5 mills, and that's 0% chargeable. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the funding formula, that means you don't lose any amount of state aid for that school building fund. The county 4 mill is 75% chargeable. So for every dollar that you get in county 4 mill, you lose 75 cents in state aid. So essentially, you divide the county 4 mill by 4 and you get 1. So that plus the school building fund, you have 6 mills. So those 6 constitutional mills that every school district gets, it's completely outside of any bonds or anything additional that school districts pass. Just those six mills, you take that revenue per school district divided by their ADM, their average daily membership, and that's how Redbud is calculated on a per district basis on what their non-chargeable ad valorem basis is that comes in per district. So currently, Redbud brings everybody up to the statewide average, with the exception of online charter schools. And so what this would do, pumping more money into Redbud, now instead of getting up to the average, now you're going to be able to bump that higher. And so what that would do is get everyone to get it to around the 78th percentile. So 78% of school districts would receive Redbud funds, approximately, based on $125 million going in. The 22% of districts above that line who aren't receiving Redbud funds, it's not that they're not getting any money, it's that they're actually already getting above that baseline in their non-chargeable mills locally, and so that's why they wouldn't be getting grants. Does that make sense?
There's going to be a quiz about this later, so I hope you get all that.
So the question was, does this teacher pay raise provide a raise for every teacher? And it's not only every teacher, it's every certified personnel in the state of Oklahoma. So there's a statutory definition of what certified personnel is. And so our total dollar amount, $286 million, is inclusive of every certified personnel in the state of Oklahoma. That's irrespective of where you are teaching. So that doesn't matter if you're teaching at an off the formula school or an on the formula school. So it's not just classroom teachers. Now we're talking about counselors and speech language pathologists, mental health professionals who are inside a school district, nurses, reading coaches and reading specialists, media and library personnel as well. If they're certified personnel in their school district, they'll be getting this pay raise. No, that is that's part of the recurring revenue that will be included in the language going forward. It will. We know that teachers are making decisions right now, whether or not to stay or go in the classroom. And so this will be effective by next school year. So, when teachers are signing their contracts by sometime in July, to be stepping back into the classroom by the end of August, that pay raise will be in effect at that point. So there's additional dollars that will be applied to DOC, DRS, OJA, as well as Career Tech. If they're embedded inside a school district program, then those teachers will be receiving that pay raise as well.
Well, I don't know. Somebody else would be better to answer that than me. So I think the Reading Sufficiency Act is something that we really wanted to invest specifically in to make sure that we are reading at grade level. And then I think over the years, we'll be able to watch those NAEP scores and if we're not top 10 in something, I'm always kind of be pushing, hey, here's what's happening in these states that are beating Oklahoma. And right now, we're not top 10 in education. And so that's why I appreciate the House and the Senate for investing in education and introducing school choice and more options, more schools. You guys hear me a lot talking about the Aviation Academy down in Norman, that you can now become an A&P mechanic and start going there as a junior in high school. And so we just want to rethink about education and get every kid when they graduate from high school, they're either career ready or they're college ready. And that's our goal as legislatures and the governor, is to make sure that we give every single student the opportunity to succeed in life. Yeah, I've got to give credit. Jeffrey in the Secretary of State's team, one of our attorneys, actually had that idea when we were saying, hey, how can we break the logjam? How can we help? Maybe we could get a mediator that could help, because both sides, both the House and the Senate, had great ideas, and they had different thoughts about how to do education, teacher pay raise, different thoughts about how the funding formula works and where we should invest in. And that's how, and Senator Pugh talked about it, that's how this legislative process works. And so you saw me roll out my compromise plan a month or so ago, and so then we got Justice Taylor, who is a very well-respected former Supreme Court justice. He works for free. That's exactly right. Thank you. I'm going to have to buy him a gift certificate for Pete's Place down in McAllister. But anyway, so he's a great Oklahoman, and we all know and respect Justice Taylor, and everybody in this building has a lot of respect for him. So we reached out to him and just said, hey, come, if you don't mind, come to the governor's mansion on Monday. And then the speaker brought his team, and the pro tem brought his team, and we had a great conversation. We sat down and we put it on the whiteboard, and guys, where can we agree? Where's our differences? And we were about $50 million apart for some time, and then this morning we got back together, and Justice Taylor's wife owes a big debt of thanks as well, as he was driving back and forth from McAllister, and he came this morning, and we sat down and kind of finalized the agreement that we're presenting to you today. You said sports staff? Support staff. Yeah, so that's why we put an extra $100 million in the funding formula. And then also with Redbud, more of these school districts are going to have that money. So we are putting more money in the formula. We're just leaving that up to the superintendents to decide exactly, and the principals, how they're going to disperse those extra revenues. But it was really important to the Senate and the House that every single certified teacher got a pay raise. And at the end of the day, it's also a zero-sum game. And we're in a great situation. I mean, what year can we stand up here and put an extra $625 million into public education? It's because we've been fiscally disciplined over the last 4 years that we're even able to do this. So we are all up here together, just really planting a flag saying, Oklahoma's the place to be. Oklahoma's open for business. We know that this is going to be attractive to other other people from around the country to move to Oklahoma. We're already top 10 in migration. And I think this further solidifies us as the state. We're the state to be right now. And our cost of living and everything that we've got going for us. And we just wanted to make sure that you now know that you're going to get a quality education, and we believe in charter schools, and we believe in private schools, and we believe in putting parents in charge of their kids' education. And so all that is just working beautifully right now, and I'm sure that some of those support staff can talk to their superintendents and try to get some of the $100 million that we put in the formula.
Governor, if I could
Yeah, please.
He talked about $100 million. That's unencumbered $100 million. There's actually about $214 million additional dollars going into the formula. But we did an economically disadvantaged weight change from 0.25 to 3.3, which is about $81 million. We did a transportation weight that hasn't been adjusted since 1983 from 1.39 to 2, which takes up about $12 million of that. And then we changed the definition of small school in the weights from 529 to 750. We pulled out roughly $12 million for maternity leave for those. So there's $100 million that he talked about unencumbered by those weight changes, but really a $214 million additional investment in the formula.
I'm here.
We're working, and we're going to continue to work, and we're going to meet our constitutional obligation. Yes, Senator Thompson and Representative Wallace, they're continuing to hammer out the budget and the process, and that's still part of this session. We'll be moving forward with that, and we still have a lot of work to do. We plan to advance this education package this week, and it would be the intent, I believe, the joint intent of the House and the Senate on the budget that will be coming very shortly as well, as we're getting close to our constitutional deadline.
Glad you asked. We're still working towards the tax cut. We had to get this across the finish line, figure out what this number is, and like the speaker said, Wallace and Thompson are working hard on the budget, and if not now, then when? So, quarter of a point tax cut, I believe, is alive and something that we want to try to get across the finish line. I think there's a lot of momentum. I think with inflation, Oklahomans certainly want that. We've got a great savings account right now. And we just delivered big time on education, and let's also deliver for the taxpayers as well. So thank y'all so much.
Will urban and rural schools receive the same amount of money with this package?
Pretty much, yeah. Most of this money goes in the funding formula, and then I think the pro tem explained how the Redbud funding worked. But yeah, the money goes in the funding formula. We're tweaking the weights just a little bit. And you want to take it?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Were you talking about the other pro tem?
Yeah. The security, the $50 million for security officers will be split kind of evenly between the 517 school districts. And the funding formula money is split how it is. I mean, you heard the explanation. I couldn't even understand what Kyle was saying on that stuff. So anyway, thank y'all so much. We appreciate y'all being in here, and we'll see you back for the signing ceremony.
Yep. Let's go work on the budget.